Our products are organically sourced natural healthy foods from Nigeria, West Africa, sourced directly from the small local farmers. At Naturalike, we believe what you put in your body and on your body can dramatically impact your health and well-being. Boost your energy levels and satisfy your cravings with a healthy dose of natural sweetness from our products. We're excited to help lead African foods and products into the global health and wellness markets. Follow us on Instagram at Naturalike, on Facebook at Naturalike LLC, and YouTube at Naturalike TV. These organically sourced foods are available at our Amazon store, amazon.com/Naturalike. Email us at naturalikeproducts@gmail.com.
One of the greatest empires in world history was the Mali Empire. The Mali Empire was one of the most prosperous and powerful empires in the antiquity of Africa. Its growth and expansion from the 13th century onwards was legendary and pivotal in the history and culture of Western Africa. The Mali Empire Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin, available on Amazon, is a book which provides the full historical record of the Mali Empire. From their control over the trans-Saharan trade routes and development of great cities such as Timbuktu, to their influential royal class who produced notable African kings such as Mansa Musa, Sundiata Keita, and Mansa Abubakar Keita II, the Mali Empire made a significant impression. This book is perfect for anyone interested in learning more about the history of Western Africa. Order your copy right now on Amazon. The Mali Empire, Volume 1, from author J.P. Martin. Go to Amazon.com and get your copy today.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Amir, search for Uhuru. I hope all is well. I hope your Tuesday afternoon is going well. I am looking forward to Sunday. You want to know why I'm looking forward to Sunday? Because Sunday we are heading to Senegal for the Jazz Festival. Sunday we are heading to Senegal for the Jazz Festival, and I am happy to announce that we have completely sold out of the tour for the tour. We are completely sold out. So I want to thank all of you who are watching, all of my supporters. Thank you so much for joining. It really means a lot. So we're going to have an excellent time. We're going to have a fun time. Sorry, that's some change over here. We're going to have a fun time in Senegal for the Jazz Festival, which is coming up. We leave Sunday. So I'm going to meet everybody in New York at JFK Airport, and we're going to ride out. We're going to roll out. So looking forward to that. Guys, hit the like button. You know the drill. As you come to the channel, hit the like button. Make sure you share. Let's see here. Dynas, are you still searching for Uhuru, or have you found it now? If you have, why don't you change your channel to Uhuru Now Found? Guys, listen, I was actually considering changing the name of the channel to my name. That did come up. I was considering changing the name of my channel to my name. So from Search for Uhuru to Prince Dynasty Amir. I was considering it. But no, we will always be in search of Uhuru. Life is a journey. I am learning every day, something new every day about myself and in general. So we can't change. Well, so we'll always be in search of Uhuru. But as far as the name of the channel, I was considering changing the name. Uhuru from Marion County, Georgia. Oh, shout out to Uhuru from Marion County, Georgia. Shout out to you. Couple of announcements. We are rolling to Nigeria, August 4th through the 13th for the Osun Festival. August 4th through the 13th for the Osun Festival. We have 4 spots left. We have 4. Somebody says Drake or Kendrick. Oh, Kendrick body Drake. Kendrick all the way. Kendrick body Drake. Yeah, Kendrick. No brainer. No brainer. Definitely Kendrick. But we are running to the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th. August 4th through the 13th for the Oshun Festival. So if you want to roll with us for the Oshun Festival, we have 4 spots left. Visit Danfo, that's DANFO .Africa, Danfo, DANFO .Africa to learn more. We are also rolling to Zanzibar for a little Safari Blue. Zanzibar for a little Safari Blue. That's September 22nd to October 1st. I believe we have 3 spots left, 2 or 3 for Zanzibar in Tanzania for Safari Blue. We're going to have an excellent time. We are going to have a great time. We're going to have a fun time. If you want to come and join us for that, we'll love to have you guys. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. Visit donfo.africa to learn more. And if you're watching this, if you have not bought the documentary, hold on, let's pull this up. So on the top of the screen there where it says documentary, click on that link, and that link is going to forward you to this page right here. Go and buy the documentary, okay? Take action, buy the documentary. It's streamed forever. You can stream it through the site. This is the best documentary ever. So make sure you buy the documentary. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. White people realize that, and I meant to put West Africa. I'm sorry. Meant to put West Africa. Let me be specific. White people realize that West Africa, I meant to be specific. In fact, I need to change that. That West Africa is the final frontier. What are Black people doing? We discussed this somewhat yesterday. Somebody brought this up on how West Africa is the final frontier. And, I'm in the hospitality business, tourism to be specific. And what I've noticed from when I started traveling to Africa in 2011 to now, and I started in West and East Africa. My first trip was to Tanzania in 2011. That was my first trip. And what I noticed when I was in Tanzania, Indians dominated the tourism industry. Again, Indians dominated the tourism industry in East Africa, in Tanzania. That's also for Uganda, whatnot. Burundi. Is Burundi considered East Africa? Yeah. They dominate the tourism industry. In South Africa is white. It's white. So South Africa, Namibia is white. The majority of, I would say, inbound tour operators who are actually gathering the people and bringing them to East and South Africa, and this is coming from Europe, is white. West Africa is still wide open. And me and another lady were discussing this. And I told her, there's really no how can I put it? Established, big, well-known tour operators here in West Africa, like there is in South and East Africa. And her direct words, her exact words were, "Hello, Candace, how are you?" Candace will be joining us in Nigeria. Guys, Candace is rolling with us to Nigeria. So I'm looking forward to meeting Candace for the first time in New York before we fly out. And her exact words were, "West Africa is the final frontier." So it is wide open, West Africa, specifically when it comes to hospitality and tourism. First time I came to West Africa, I believe, was 2012, 2013. First country I went to was Senegal. First country I went to was Senegal. I saw maybe 2 or 3 white people. I'm not exaggerating. First time I went to Nigeria, which was 2018. Ghana, which was 2017 or 2016, I don't remember. I didn't see too many white people, except for at the Oshun Festival, because the Oshun Festival, you have a lot of the Brazilian returnees, or a lot of the Cuban and Brazilian Ifa, Babalaos, practitioners who come. So we'll count them as white. Now, when I go to Nigeria, white Europeans are everywhere. Same thing with Senegal. Now, Benin was, and I'm going to get to Ghana here in a second. Benin was a little bit different because in Benin, at the Voodoo Festival, white people everywhere. At the Voodoo Festival in Benin. Y'all would demonize voodoo and call it evil when other groups of people are there and embracing it. Same thing with Ifa. Let me get to Ghana. Year of return. I think the first year of return was either 2018 or 2019. I was there in December when the first one took place. See, you guys see a lot of black faces, but on the ground, there were a lot of white people in Ghana on the ground for the year of return. So when they go into detail about the amount of tourism revenue that was generated for the year of return, that's not solely black dollars. That's not solely black dollars. Because there was a lot of, I stay at the African region. So when I'm in Accra, that's like one of my favorite hotels. I stay at the African region in Accra. It's by the airport. Great breakfast. Y'all know I'm greedy. I like to eat. So when I stay somewhere, I got to stay somewhere that has a good breakfast. I love to eat. Y'all know I'm greedy. I'm thinking about food right now. I'm thinking about that good Senegalese food we're going to eat when we get to Senegal we get there Sunday afternoon. So Monday, I'm looking forward to that good old Senegalese food. I cannot wait. Oh, that food is so good. Senegal has the best food in Africa. Don't allow anybody to tell you any differently. Get back on topic. So there were a lot of white people in Ghana at my hotel. Last time I was in Nigeria, this past January, I'll be in Nigeria next month. So from Senegal, I'm going to Nigeria. From Senegal, I'm going to Nigeria. I was just in Nigeria in January. I'll be back later on this month. When I was in Osogbo, there was a delegation. My face off the chain. Oh, we are going to eat so good in Senegal. There was a whole Delegation. White people don't showboat. So I'm like, what are black people doing? And see, I know my people. It's like here in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, see, hey, y'all, AJ's rolling to Senegal with us. And AJ, you play that stuff, you getting kicked off the bus. You play that. Nas only has 2 good songs. Nas is overrated. The only good song I like by Nas is Whose World Is This? That's it. That and Ooch Chi Walla Walla, Oochie Bang Bang, Oochie Walla Walla, Oochie. That song was cool. And then there's I know I can't be what I wanna be what I wanna be. Those, like, Nas only has 3 songs that I enjoy. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Now you can play that Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, OB4L. We can listen to that. You know, people say that Nas album, it was written, whatever it's called, was the best album of out of the East Coast. No, Raekwon, OB4L is the best song, the best album to come out of the East Coast, period. So no. So you can play Nas when we on the bus, but it's gonna be one of those 3 songs. Everything else is gonna get tossed out the window. All right. Okay. Let me get back to topic. Let me tell you what happened in Atlanta. In Atlanta, in the hood. All right. Where I live in Atlanta, I live in an area called the West End. They were selling houses in the West End. Now, they were bandos at the time. West End, Ashview Heights, Oakland City, Adair Park, Westview. They were Mosley Park. They were selling the houses for $10,000. You get a house for $5,000. The house I have, before it was fully renovated, I bought the final product. They bought this house for $12,000 back in like 2011. Black folks, oh, it's the hood. It's the trap. Don't go over there. It's the hood. It's not safe. It's the trap. Don't go over there. The same stuff they're saying about Africa right now. Fast forward. Those same bandos that were selling for $5,000 or $10,000. Those same bandos are now selling for $200,000. The houses that were renovated back then that were like $125,000 upwards to $185,000. Houses now are going for more than $500,000. Back then, it was the hood, it was the trap, it ain't safe. Now it's, oh, they gentrifying us out the community. They gentrifying us out the community. They gentrifying us. We being gentrified. We being replaced. You could have bought, listen, y'all could have bought these houses for $5,000 to $10,000. So now the prices is up. All of a sudden, we being gentrified. But back then, it was the hood, it was the trap. It ain't safe. Don't go over there. So when it comes to Africa, I'm telling you what's happening. Do not listen to our ignorant folks. Don't listen to them. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And once they see white, Chinese, and all other groups of people, they're going to be crying from America how Africa is being gentrified. It's like they're going to cry over here in America about America, how we being gentrified, and then cry about Africa, about how it's being gentrified, when there were plenty of opportunities to do what's needed to acquire I guess your place in these global, to position yourself in these global communities. There we go. Hopefully that makes sense. You have a better chance at making something happen in Africa versus waiting on reparations. Reparations ain't happening. Dynast doesn't know rap, love Raekwon, but he's not better than Nas. You're crazy. Listen, that Raekwon album is better than every Nas album. Period. Period. Guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. But but a lot of us aren't being, we think we Native American. Like we're a lot of us are quadrupling down here in regards to our place. I mean, folks now say they Native Americans. That's the new thing now. Everybody thinks they're a Native American. I'm no African. I'm a Native American. I'm no African. I'm a Native American. We don't flee, we fight. All these little slogans now. Guys, don't listen to these people. These people are pushing you in the wrong. It's misinformation. They're pushing you, leading you in the wrong direction. When other groups of people realize that Africa is the final frontier. Shout out to ZD Transport. Go ahead, Cosmic. They're pushing.
Hey, what's up, Dynast? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. Like Dr. Umar says, the pretendians.
Yeah, the pretendians.
I would like to read something to the masses on this topic, so we can get some facts. Okay. Here it goes. The African origin of the Olmecs. This reality was further confirmed by Olmec skeletons and inscribed Olmec artifacts excavated on Olmec sites. The decipherment of the Olmec text indicated they spoke a Malinke Bambara language that belongs to the Mande family of languages.
I need what's your source?
This is a book called hold on, Art of Africa, Oceania, and the Americas. The Olmec stones, Celt, and the carved faced middle.
And where
I'll send you the link.
Where are they getting their sources from?
On this anthropologist.
Who's the anthropologist?
It's not only one person, it's different people. But let me give you the source if you want to. I can give the source.
Yeah. But I need the name of the anthropologist. So they went in, they deciphered that the writings of the Aztecs were linked.
Yes, to the Bambara language that belongs to the Mande family of languages. And we now have Olmec DNA. Enrique Villamar B. Serial has found that the Olmec carried the mtDNA-A, which is a subclad of the macrohaplogroup N. Haplogroup N originated in Africa. Enrique wrote, the pioneering study of ADNMT carried out on Olmec individuals one from San Lorenzo and the other from Loma del Sapote, resulted in both cases in the unequivocal presence of the distinctive mutation of the A maternal lineage. Addition to DNA, the Spanish explorers reported many Africans in Mexico. The Spanish explorer mentioned black nations and black tribes in the Americas. They met even before African slaves were landed in America. The Spanish said the Aztecs were Negroes. Paul Gaffarel noted that when
Right. So you do realize like the first person that came over, like so Christopher Columbus, well, he's Portuguese. He thought he was in India.
right, it was looking for spies. Of course, he could not lie to Isabella that it wasn't
Yeah,
there.
but he called them Indians, not Africans.
Well, you can also look at them as indigos.
No,
Because
but he was very specific. He called the natives he saw Indians because he thought he was in India, not
but
Africa.
but we know he wasn't in India. He was
Donis,
in
you know
America.
that you know the word Indians. The word Indians was used when they used Indians like in literature back in the days. They was actually talking about the east coast of Africa. It's like the east coast of Africa and going on the other side of Africa. What do they call that? Ah, Lord have mercy. What's the name of that area across from like Djibouti and all of that?
No, they were the term they used for Africans in classical times. You had Ethiopians, you had Negro. Like they didn't. Indians were specific to India.
No, that's not true. I can show you
That's
literature
very true.
where
That's
the
very
word
true.
India is used for East Africa.
It was
So
Ethiopia.
also in West African records, they spoke about people that came over to the Americas.
For
So
example,
and
Right,
corn.
right. No, the only record that they spoke of was Abu Bukhari. There's just one.
No, Abu
right,
Bakr was the third African to come to the Americas, or the second.
right,
About four
because they
Africans
spoke
have came to the
about a trip that
Americas.
was
Oh, okay.
before Abu
Give me the
Bakari.
record, not one or two.
Second,
Give me the records, not one or two.
the first Africans to come here were the Olmecs, who were the ancient Egyptians. They were the first people to come here.
How did they get here?
Right,
They came here through is it the Bering Straits, or what's it called?
right,
The
because
Bering
they found a
Strait.
lot of ancient Egyptian artifacts in the Americas.
Do you know
Right.
where the
But
Bering
basically, my own
Straits
point
are?
is, and this is
Do you,
why I stand
do you
on,
know where the
right?
Bering Straits
Although
are?
these pretendians, we might call them pretendians, they
Yeah,
might not
but
want to acknowledge.
Larry's asking you a question.
What question did you ask me?
Do you know where the Bering Straits are?
What question did Larry
Now,
ask me?
Donis,
He just hold on, Larry. Ask your question one more time.
Sorry, am I too low or something?
I hear you just clear, but go ahead.
Okay,
He can't hear you.
thanks.
So go ahead.
Where are the Bering Straits?
I can't hear nobody.
Cosmic,
Here,
where's the Bering
guys.
Strait? Cosmic, yeah, his phone is acting up.
Right.
now
So my own
Donis,
contention on this,
Cosmic, you haven't answered the question. Where's the Bering Strait?
um, the hold on, just give me a minute.
You see,
I,
that's
I I know where it's at,
yeah.
and it's probably to Larry's point. It's an idiotic claim to think that black folks crossed the freaking Bering Strait through Siberia.
Well,
right?
I mean, come on, man.
Well, there's a current from West
Come
Africa
on. I mean,
that
come
goes
on.
straight to the Americas.
well,
Wait,
Africans have been migrating.
now you're confusing yourself. One guy is talking about the ocean to the Americas. The other guy is talking about the Bering Straits. Which one is it?
But Donis, can I say a quick story real quick? Donis, can I say a quick story about my country real quick?
What's your
So
country?
I'm from the Bahamas, right?
Okay.
And the Bahamas, the people in the Bahamas, we were populated by Eastern Seaboard peoples during the American Revolution. So all of the English that wanted to stay loyal to the crown, they took their slaves and they went over to the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. So the Bahamas
Okay.
is right off the coast of Miami, right?
Okay.
But also, if you do you know anything about the Gullah Wars? and the wars that the Americas had with the Seminole Indians,
Yeah,
and the literature about the Seminole Indians when Andrew Jackson, when they wrote saying that the people that they went down there to fight, they thought that they were fighting some Indians, but they were fighting niggers. So in my
right.
in the
Yeah, that's
in my
correct.
right. So, and my country kept a relationship with Southern Florida for a very long time. But so after the Seminole Wars, a lot of the Seminoles got on boats and went over to the Bahamas in on an island called Andros. And the island is they started a community, it's called Red Bay. Anybody can look this up. So
Okay, well,
people come over.
I don't understand your point about Native Americans going to. So you're saying that the Native American Seminoles came to the Bahamas,
No, what I'm saying is the Seminoles.
right?
When they had that war with America,
Right.
a lot of them went on boats because they always had relations with those islands. They went on boats and sailed to
I mean, I don't understand. Like, what's your point? So you're saying that Native Americans came to
to
the
recognize
Bahamas?
them today. Yeah, no, listen to my point. Yeah, I'm trying to
What
make the
is your
point right now.
point?
Yeah, what's
So
your
if
point?
you go
Native
and you
Americans.
look at these people, I'm saying the point literally right now. So if you go and you go to that village right now today, those people are black people, Negroes, but they're
Okay,
Seminoles.
bro, do you understand the Seminole Wars and the black? Do you understand the Black Seminoles?
Yes.
They were black slaves, runaway slaves who integrated with the Seminoles in
Right. They were
the
not
swamps
just
of Florida.
no. What I'm telling you is that the Seminoles, the history, the way we're taught history is not real history.
There's
A
no
lot
way
of the
we're taught.
people, a
There's
lot
no
of the
way,
people,
bro. There's no way we were taught.
Diners,
The black Seminoles
Diners.
were, bro. Let me
A
finish.
lot of the
Let
people
me
that was on
finish.
the eastern
Let me
seaboard
finish.
were black.
The black Seminoles were escaped slaves who integrated with the native Seminole populations in the swamps of Florida that fought back. So I don't understand your point. I mean, yeah, okay. So those black Seminoles came to the Bahamas. Okay. I mean, all right. I mean,
Listen to what I'm saying, Diners. So there were two sets of people here in the Americas that were slaves. As a matter of fact, and I know some of these brothers
who were who were the two sets?
so they had and it's in your records here in Congress
What
where
records? What records?
there were the Indians. As they reclassified them as Negroes. So there were Negroes that was already here, and there were Negroes that came over on the ship.
No,
But
that's not true. That's not true. The reason why
that's a fact.
the reason why we had the slave trade to America in the first place is because the native population here could not handle the
See,
workload.
here's the problem.
So they brought that's no. Let me tell you what happened. All right. So when the Spanish came to South America, to Mexico, when white folks came to America, they tried to enslave the native populations. It didn't work because they could not handle the workload. So they ended up bringing in Africans from Africa because we were able to handle the workload. That's facts.
See,
Now,
You know
let me
the funny
let's
thing,
interject.
that's
Dinah.
what the white man told
Oh
you,
my
right,
God,
Dennis?
bro.
What
That's
these
That's what the
not.
white man told you.
Oh my
Diners,
God,
Now,
bro.
what these
Dennis.
two guys
Now,
don't
Dennis.
understand is that
God dang,
what
man.
they're doing,
Dennis.
Dinah, what they're actually
Can,
doing
Dennis,
is
can I tell you the
they're
problem what I
making
have
the FDA quote.
with what
Just
you
hold
said?
on, you've had a lot of time.
There's no problem. That's
They're
what
just
happened.
they're just making the argument for FBA and ADOS who say
no.
black
See,
people were here
Larry,
already.
That's not
That's
what
what
Larry,
they do.
happened.
I know
Let me
that,
make my
and
own
you and
point.
I know that's
No,
not what happened.
Let Larry speak.
You and I know that's not what happened. But what they don't understand is the argument that they are making feeds into the narrative of the black Americans who say that they are indigenous to America. They don't
But
say that those people who came over were Africans. They say that they were always here and that their
Oh
descendants of
no, I
black
disagree
people
with
were
that one.
always.
Yeah,
And see, and Larry,
that one.
Larry, their argument, this indigenous argument, defeats the whole reparations argument because
Yes.
the thing is now, okay, if you're a Native Seminole, the United States government already has a treaty with these tribes. So go get your tribal status. End of discussion. Why do you
But
want
there are
reparations?
also $5 Indians. Don't forget that too.
Well, again, the government of the United States, they already have treaties with these native tribes. So if you are a so-called ADOS or FBA or a Black American who claims to be a native, your whole reparations argument is completely null and void. Just go and get your tribal status.
Right. But let me make my own point so that people don't misunderstand me. The people that I'm talking about were also Africans. It was the Olmecs were Africans who came to America. So anybody that's saying that the Olmecs were not Africans is clearly wrong and don't know what they're talking
No,
about.
they weren't Africans. They weren't.
So that's my own point.
They
Because
weren't.
we know that Africa had about 4 migrations, about 3 to 4 migrations.
Through the freezing Bering Strait per you, right?
Yeah, some went through that. Some came
Oh
like
my gosh.
the Malian Empire came through.
You
Through the
don't
Atlantic
know
Ocean.
where the Bering Straits are. You didn't even know where they were.
It's in Russia. It's around. No, I was trying to pinpoint the exact area, which is between like that Alaska and that around that Russia Siberia area. I just wanted to be pinpoint correct. So I just wanted
So
to,
just so I'm sure, you're saying that people in West Africa migrated all the way to the Horn or to the northeast, crossed into parts of Europe, migrated through
that's
Asia
what I
Minor,
said.
kept
That's
on
not what I
going.
said.
No,
I
but
said
I'm
West
telling you geographically what they have to do to get to the Bering Straits. If
Do you know
Dinus
that
pulls up a
there is
map,
a
if
breeze?
Dinus pulls
There's
up
a
a map.
breeze that blow from the Atlantic Ocean that will literally drop you in Maine.
So wait,
You don't have to
what
do
the hell?
anything.
Right.
What
That's
is
a
How,
brick.
what is
hang
Exactly.
on.
Oh my God.
How did everybody else get
So
through the Bering Strait?
so Dennis.
He
Go
doesn't
ahead.
even understand basic
Hello?
geography.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay,
Yes, Dennis. So the problem I have with what y'all say is that y'all believe that Africans were so dumb that Africans didn't travel or build ships and
exactly.
travel anywhere. There were
No, no, no,
Africans.
no,
There
no,
were
no,
Africans in
no.
the
The point.
Americas.
No, no,
There were
no. That's not.
Africans
No,
in
let me
Europe.
talk. Let me not. You're not going to talk over me. Let me talk. Africa is so rich. There's no freaking point to leave.
But
That's what I'm saying.
you remember
Yes,
that
but
the Sahara Desert used to be a
Like
vegetation, used to
there's
be a
no
jungle
point to
before.
leave. Like there's really no point for everybody
No,
to leave
things
the land.
change. Environment change. Remember
they did
the
left.
Sahara Desert
Oh
They
my
literally.
dude,
a
there is
jungle with
no
vegetation
point
before.
to leave. But again, we have one alleged documented case of an African selling to Africa, which is Abu Bakr. I'll give you 3. Okay,
What
you
about the
have 3
pygmies?
now.
What about the
You have
pygmies?
okay, you have 3. You have 3. So and we'll say what 500 people at the most.
No, no, because Abu Bakari sent 300 ships alone.
There's no come on, there's no proof of that. I've been to Mali. I've been to
That's what the
Mali.
record says.
Ivan Satsuma
I've been
already
to
said this.
Mali.
Ivan
I've
Satsuma
been
already
to
said
Mali.
this.
I've been to Mali. And even in Mali, they don't have exact proof that it even happened.
He was no longer found. Abu Bakr was lost. He went
Man,
there, never came back.
Exactly. He was
that,
lost. Like he
Dennis,
was lost.
that is not how history is done. You
My fault.
understand?
I've been to Mali. If you ask the
When this,
Malians in Mali about Abu Bakr, pretty much they'll tell you, hey, he abandoned his throne. He sailed somewhere. We don't know where. And here came Mansa Musa. That's it.
Dennis,
That's all.
you could
That's what they
ask
tell
an
you.
American that lives in America who was the last president. Some of these people don't know.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead, Marie Shine. Go ahead, Marie.
Hey, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and
Yeah.
clear.
Yes.
Okay. So I know this is off topic, but
No, go ahead. Take it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. So I think everyone, like, if you're African American, go on familysearch.org, because those who saying that they're Native American, it's all lies, because um a lot of people, if you look up the Savannah port in Georgia, a lot of those Africans, they came from Upper Guinea and Sierra Leone, because my family on my father's side, I did like a family tree, and I started with my I started with my grandpa, and I just started tracing. And my fifth great grandparents, they were born in Africa. My great grandmother, she was born in Upper Guinea, Africa. And well, if you look up Halte Guinea, that's Mandinka land, and that's where my grandmother was born. So I think it's bullshit that a lot of us are talking about we're Native American and we're not. And that's all I really had to say.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, my bye. Bye. Go ahead.
Yes. Just to, I want to reply or respond to what she just said. It's not all bullshit because we are all also individuals, right? So on my side, I'm FBA, ADOS, whatever, Black American, whatever you want to call it. My father's side, because you mentioned your father's side, my father traced back his ancestry for 10 generations, which is here on this land. And they were fishermen and they were business people, but they were classified as African American, although they were indigenous. And this is Seminole Indians, though we're talking about.
There was
So
no
they were
such thing as
Seminole.
there was no such thing as African American 10 generations ago.
Well, he has the paperwork. And I've seen the paperwork. But what I'm saying is, I know from the pictures of my great grandparents, they look Native Indian. They were dressed that way. My great grandfather used to wear red rouge, just like the Native Indians on Florida. They had 130 acres in Florida. My father grew up on the land. They were considered Seminoles. Also, I want to let you know that. And just because they're Seminoles does not involve the reparations claim, because they were also slaves too. And that's on my father's side. I didn't even go to my mother's side.
So can
which is in North Carolina, South Carolina, and somehow I got a lot of family Seminoles in South Carolina. But my father said that's where it all started.
Do you have your tribal status?
No, I don't, not me personally, but I believe my cousins do.
Oh God, here we go.
So
right,
so can Mafa Rose and Cosmic Chaos convince Mabai that her ancestor 10 generations ago was actually African? Because that's what they're claiming. She's saying that her people were indigenous to this land, but Cosmic and Mafa are saying that those people that she thinks were indigenous were in fact Africans who came over via the Bering Straits. So I'm interested to see how they're going to convince her that she's actually
Well,
African.
I never
But
said
that
the Bering
doesn't
Straits.
exclude our reparations claim because we were still slaves. And that doesn't exclude the Jim Crow and all the stuff
I'm not
we
talking
went
about
through.
I'm not talking about the reparations thing. You're saying that your ancestors on your father's side were indigenous to the land. They were making a claim that yes, black people existed, but that those black people were African. So I'd like to hear the both of you convince yourself that you're wrong, because I don't know how they're going to convince you that your ancestors were in fact African, because that's what they're saying.
All I know is that they were considered Seminoles. They were black people, black in color. And we do have a rainbow of cousins though, but it's just really, and they stole their land too, by the way. That's also documented because I tried to get it back. So that's a fight. You can still
so my do you so what Larry's asking, your Seminole, indigenous Seminoles, were they of African descent? Yes or no?
I believe so.
You believe so, or do you know? You say you're indigenous. You say you're indigenous.
That's right. I'm indigenous, but I'm not denying that there is some African descent. That I'm not denying.
So you're saying your indigenous Seminole side, your indigenous
Seminole
side.
We're not African. You see, there's a difference.
Okay, so there you go, there you go, Mafa. There you go. There you go.
A more percentage of African ancestry and or DNA, does that mean that you're African?
So, Dynast, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Have anybody in your family ever said that you had Indian in your family?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Okay, but guess what? So have you ever taken a not the African ancestry DNA test.
It came
Have
back.
you?
It came back like 2% Indian from like Peru.
Right. Now can I say something? Right? How is it possible? Because I'm from the Bahamas, a black country that's isolated by black people, right? So how is it possible all of these black people in the Western Hemisphere, when they take that DNA test, at some point in time in history, they were interbreeding with the Mongoloid Indians that was here?
We're
How is that
talking,
possible?
Martha. We're talking
No,
2%.
I'm saying
No,
sometimes.
Martha,
No, I'm talking.
Martha, what I'm saying, the average Black American, and this is what's funny. The average African American, if we take a DNA test, we have way more European admixture than anything Native American. But these Negroes don't want to claim the European side.
That
They
is
No,
want to
I
true.
claim
agree with you,
they want to
Dennis.
claim
Dennis,
the
I agree with
1
you.
to 2% Native American
I
side,
agree
which
with
is
you.
just
But
weird to me.
what I'm asking, right? I'm asking because what I'm saying, the reason why it's coming up as 1% is because there were Africans that were here that were also interbreeding with the Mongoloid people. That's the reason why the percentage is coming up so small, and that's the reason why it's so widespread in the black population that is in the Western Hemisphere. So what that shows is that percentage shows that sometime in history there were some Africans that were interbreeding with the Mongoloid types of Native Americans that was here, and when the other Africans that came over, all of them interbreed, and that little small percentage of that Mongoloid DNA is still in there. That's what I'm saying.
You
No, what
haven't
I'm
provided evidence for that.
and then what I'm saying, which is a historic fact, you have Indian tribes who the men in those Indian tribes were completely wiped out, and all you had left were the women, and they ended up. I mean, I want to be PC about it, marrying freed African slaves, especially in the North, which makes sense. And that's a documented fact. None of the
Well,
stuff you guys are talking about.
So
It's a
if
documented
that
fact.
happened in the north, how would that account for me? Like I said, my people, okay, the people in the Bahamas come
I
from
can tell you how it
South
accounted for. Okay,
Carolina, Georgia,
let me ask
they
you,
come from Florida.
who first came? Who did? Okay, in quotation marks, what European came to the Bahamas first? In quotation marks, discovered in quotation marks.
Who discovered Christopher Columbus was the first person, the first
Okay,
European.
and
Really?
he
Because when
called.
he discovered the New World, it
Right,
was the
right, right.
Bahamas he discovered.
And there's a reason why he called them Indians, because he thought he was in
He made a
India, not in
mistake, though.
Africa.
Yes, he made a mistake. You're right.
He
He
Yeah,
made
called them Indians.
but do you know he called them black? And do you know he said that
No,
he
no,
saw
he
West
called
African
them
ships
Indians. They're
leaving with
called
goods from the
they're
Americas?
called Indians. He called
But
them Indians. That's why, because he thought he was in India, not Africa.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, but Dinas, I'm telling you
Ain't
that
no
don't,
yeah, but Christopher Columbus came
because
to America, thought
I
he
could
was in
show you records
he thought he was in India, and he called them Indians.
That was the whole reason he went on his expedition. He
He
was
was going
paid
to India, not
yeah,
Africa.
right.
to
That's the
find a
reason. Right,
separate
he
but
was
route.
trying to go to
India.
India.
But did he
But
reach
even though
India?
I don't believe that story at all,
India?
Of
because
course you
his
don't, because it
yes,
goes against your narrative. It goes
well,
against your
because
narrative. Of course you don't believe it. But
his ship
that's just the
captain
historic fact.
his ship captain and translator. He brought a translator, not just him. There was other people who brought translators to talk to the so-called Indians that was here. What I'm proposing to you, Dinus, is that African people were smart enough to go to Europe, to come to the Americas and set up colonies, right? And
So what? They were
had
colonizers. So
not
Africans
only
were
that they had
colonizers.
not only that they had colonies. A colony is just a settlement.
Oh,
Then,
they were good
if that's a better
colonizers.
word,
They were
a
good
settlement.
colonizers.
They were a settlement. Is that better for you? They set up a settlement where they settled. And so they didn't just do that here in Americas. They did it in Europe. There's a
Yeah,
lot
can
of
I come
black
in for a
people.
second?
Yeah, go ahead, Kazorian.
Yeah, so I want to clarify a couple things here, right? So the title says white people realize that Africa is the final frontier. What are black people doing? And I will say that I think the Chinese are the ones who have mostly taken this seriously and have invested heavily in Africa. White people are also beginning to do it too. There's a couple, British and American TikTokers who are kind of pushing white people to come and invest in West Africa specifically, etc. Right? So, anyways, with this whole thing about Black Americans, I want to ask the pretendians, right? Like, what's your thought? Right? Is it that you're mixed with the Asiatic Indians? Of course you are. Maybe 2%. Some like Nagmizi on the chat, maybe 10%, right? But at the end of the day, right? Are you claiming you're mixed with the Native American Indians, and some of you are, or are you claiming that you are the original Native American Indian? You just happen to be black, and you're not necessarily connected to a recent Black African, thing.
Well,
So
that's not. None
what's
of
your
that is
argument?
my argument. None of that. My argument is just that there were Africans that were here. That's it. That's my argument. To me, they were still Africans.
See, it gets confusing, Kazorian. It gets confusing because one group say that they were Africans here, and then the other group say that they were black people here, but they weren't Africans. And
Well, hold on. Let me interject real quick. So when Christopher Columbus came in here, he ran into Taino Indians, not Africans.
exactly.
Now, speaking of Tainos, right?
Oh
One
boy.
side of
Go
my
ahead.
ancestry is right.
They could still Africa
So
too.
one side of
Oh,
my ancestry is from Haiti, right? So if you know anything about the Haitian Revolution, when what's that guy's name? When that what is the guy's name? Dessalines. When Dessalines read out his constitution, he included the Taino Indians that were still on the island, and those Tainos were black people. That's the reason why you're seeing.
why would he make a difference between the Tainos and the Africans that were there?
He would make a difference because then they're still Tainos. They were still there before the Africans got there.
The Tainos were there before the Africans, right? That the Tainos were African.
Yes, but what I'm saying is there's still a distinct ethnic group. That's what FBA people be saying. They're saying
No,
that
but
they're still Africans,
Let me
but
tell
they're a
you what.
distinct
y'all
ethnic
just
group.
Can I just say where the confusion is?
y'all just
The
freestyling now. No, let
confusion
me hold on. Let me pass the mic to
who is
Kasha.
here
Kasha
first?
Easy. Go ahead, Kasha. Go ahead, Kasha.
Peace. What's up, Dynast?
Go ahead.
I wanted to add on to the topic of the show of West Africa being the last frontier. I think that is a valid point that you make in terms of like tourism and hospitality, but I'd also like to raise the concern that we should get into like the ecotourism sector as well, like
Mhm.
and wildlife, because there's a lot of it being depleted over there, and the more we preserve that, the more you can like have more people who come and want to see those exotic animals and stuff out there on the safaris. So that's something you can get into. But in terms of this Native American and black people, and we was here first, and we the original people. Here's the thing: the Bering Land Strip theory, that was forever the theory that everybody went with. All the scientists universally went with as accepted that's how the people first came over here. However, there's evidence that people actually got over to South America first, and how that would be by like watercrafts. So it's not impossible to ride the ocean's currents from Australia to
Hang on.
South
Can I ask
America.
you a question?
So I just need to make this last point. There's also rock art in Brazil that look like Aboriginal rock art, and it's dated to be like 26,000 years old. So
Yeah.
first people was black. However,
So let me ask you a
Mongolians
question.
did move over as well.
Yeah, let me ask you a question then that music can go ahead, right?
Yeah.
Brother, the only issue I have with everything you're saying is, right, yeah, fine, right? Aboriginal, first of all, black is not a thing, right? I think we are black Africans. That's a separate thing. What you're talking about is Aboriginals or
You
people
said
of Australia.
you said black is separate from what?
There's no such thing as black. Either you're a black African or you're black American, which is a derivation of a black African.
Okay, but what about black Australians that are black?
They're not black people. These are Indians,
okay,
right?
that's not true.
Hang on.
That's a belief of yours, and that's not true. Those are black people.
It's not a belief. Hang on, brother.
Okay, they've been called black.
Hey, Kasha, you gotta let him finish, Kasha.
Yeah. Let me give the context, right? The people from the Australoids, right? Talk about Melanesians, Polynesians, etc. These people have more genetic similarities.
It makes no difference.
Kasha, you gotta let the man finish.
Hang on.
They have more. Where he's going?
No. But I agree with him. And my point is,
so if those aren't black people, we don't have a.
But I'm saying being darker skinned isn't exclusive to being African.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
And I'm saying these Aboriginal
just
people
because they're
are
not African don't mean.
But you could be dark skinned and not be African.
Yeah. So Kashta, right? You as a black American, I'm assuming you're a black American. If you did a DNA test, you'll find more similarity to Africans and maybe some Europeans and maybe a little bit of Native American, but you're not going to find that much significant Austronesian DNA unless you're The Rock, because he's like half whatever he is, right, and half black American. So
Samoan.
Samoan, right? Unless you're literally one of these people from the Australoids, right, Melanesians or Polynesian, you're not one of those people, and those people are not us. We are black Africans or black Americans who are descendants of black Africans, a majority of their DNA. And I think we gotta kind of just put that thing. Yeah, even if there were Aboriginal black-looking people in the Americas, those are not you anymore, right? Because their DNA will be very insignificant in your DNA portion. Your majority of your DNA is African, some European, and a little bit Native American.
Go ahead,
Kaizorian.
No, let me pass it to go ahead, Nakamizi.
Yeah, I mean, when Nakamizi shows up, everybody needs to just show respect to the premium black on the panel. So look, as far as West Africa being the final, what is the final frontier? What are you saying?
The final frontier. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it's definitely final. It's last on everything. I think Black Americans need to embrace being Black Americans and leave that ooga booga West Africa stuff right where it is. We have a lineage to this, most of us, but we're not those people anymore. They're fleeing to come to America, so we should just embrace who we are as Black Americans and leave them to be who they are. Respect to them, but we are not those people anymore.
What do you say to that, Ernest?
Hey, to each his own. I disagree with him, but to each his own. Go ahead, Mike TV.
Oh no, all I was saying was facts. I mean, the title says white people realize that Africa is the final frontier. What are black people doing? Somehow insinuating that black Americans are missing out on some grand opportunity. I mean, technically the title's right. Final frontier means last to be developed. If that's the case, the whole of Africa is a final frontier.
I think the title does say the whole of Africa. It's not West Africa in your title.
It was supposed to be West Africa.
It was supposed to be.
I forgot the West part. But hey, to each his own. To each his own.
And just because something's a final frontier, I mean, there's a reason for that. That's not to say it's an attractive investment opportunity. That's not synonymous.
I disagree with that, but
Mike TV, these people want to close their eyes and ears and their noses to reality. Most of West Africa is an absolute shithole. I could prove it in 20 seconds. We can go from GDP, HDI, any other metric, and also the fact that the ones that have money will leave, which is why I never say Africans are dumb. Africans are smart, and a lot of them are smart enough to get the hell out of Africa.
Do you have numbers to back that up?
Or what country you want to talk about?
All right, so there's two. Let's start with Nigeria.
Okay,
You said
let's start with it.
you said the majority with money want to leave or leave. Can you prove that?
Well, I know the smart Nigerians leave. Oh, let's say, would you
Can you
say,
prove
hold on,
that?
brother? You asked
No,
me the
but
question.
I need some numbers. I need
I'm
some
looking
numbers.
up the
Go
Wait,
ahead.
stats
brother,
right now.
brother, there's a lot of different
Nigerians living
metrics. There's a
overseas.
lot of different metrics. Let's start with the best of them, right? Where do the presidents of Nigeria and the politicians go for medical service? They go to Europe. I mean, for medical care, they go to Europe. Like the great Seun Kuti said, and he's from, I think he's Yoruba. He said, the day that they open the borders for Nigeria, it's just going to be him and his dog left.
And that's
Because
super.
everyone, wait, hold on, brother. Let me finish, bro. I know you're a $5 Nigerian, but you know that place, especially Yoruba land, there's open defecation all over there. They overtook India as the number one open defecation location in the world. Um, it's rife with poverty. Who the hell is trying to go leave the great land of America to live in Africa besides some dusty Pan African? And let me just say this. I'll land with this. All these dusty Pan Africans that move there, you give them 5 years, they come back. The ones with the biggest mouths in these YouTube streets will never, ever move there permanently and detach themselves from America. Everybody wants to be an African until it's really time to be an African. Salute to Black Americans, the greatest blacks to ever walk the planet.
Salute to Coons, too, who talk
And if
a
you
bunch
want
of
statistics, just between the year 2021 and 2023, there was a little under 4 million Nigerians that fled Nigeria. So yes, Nigerians moved en masse.
Can you post your link in the private chat?
Yeah,
I can share my
Meezy,
screen. This is StreamYard,
I
right?
have a question for you. Do you accept people like Mike TV who are actually half breeds as Black Americans?
We got a Bush baby calling me a half breed.
Who's
Oh
on
Lord,
the
kids
panel
must be
today?
flying.
Who is these
I'm not sure
anti-black
which baby,
people on
Mike.
the panel today,
Unfortunately, I'm from a
Dynast?
kingdom.
Who are
But
these coons
you
on
know,
the panel
You're
today,
speaking
Dynast?
with a British accent, claiming you're from a kingdom. Do you live in Africa, sir?
No, but that's a good question, Mike.
I live in
hold
Kenya.
on, knock me. Hold on, one second. Knock me easy. Can you be mixed race?
I won't speak on Mike. If you have a question for me, ask me. Mike is very capable of speaking for himself.
I'm asking.
Mike, they're trying to divide and conquer that only really works on Africans. It doesn't work on us Black Americans. Sorry.
It doesn't work on
We
you.
all know that historically,
Nice
Africans have been
try.
as
Now choke
lapdogs. They
choke
like
on
to
your
use
bushmeat,
zaddy's
guys.
tactics. It's very.
Those tactics.
Mike,
We learned
I'm
from the white
in
man.
Africa. Yeah, hang on one second, guys. Mike, I live in Africa. I'm
what
African,
country in Africa do
and
you
I
live
live.
in?
Which country? Kenya. I'm in my country.
Okay, and is Kenya a first world, second world, or third world?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I live first world. I'm first world.
Since
He
you're
lived in his
Kenyan, living in
homeland.
Kenya, who claims
He
that you
lived in his
don't know whether
homeland.
your country is first world or third world, I'll look it up.
He lives in
You
his
know,
homeland.
I
bro.
don't
Something
know, and I
wrong
don't
with
really care. My point is,
I
live
know
in
you as a
first world.
Kenyan man don't care where your country ranks in the grand scheme of things. Let me see here. It says that you guys
But he
are
didn't flee.
a third
He's
world
back in
country.
his homeland.
Yeah, okay. So we've got a Bush baby from a third world country who, instead of working on fixing the plight of his countrymen, are calling into YouTube spaces to
But
gripe
there is no
about
plight.
Black
Hang on. There
Americans'
is no plight.
identities.
One
Okay.
second, brother.
You would think you'd
People
have
from my
bigger fish to
country
fry.
don't flee the country, right? They just don't. You got the wrong country, mate. They don't flee. I'm not from Nigeria or from Eritrea.
On my channel, I've had Kenyans call in from Canada, Kenyans call in from France,
That's not fleeing.
Kenyans
These
call
are
in from the
economic
UK.
migrants.
I
There's a
already pulled the
difference.
stats on how
There's a
bad the
difference between an
Nigerians flee. Let me
economic
go ahead and pull the
migrant.
stats on the
Hang on,
Kenyans.
Mike. 1 second, brother. There's a
How
difference
many
between an
Kenyans?
economic migrant, right, versus someone who flees the nation, right, out of other issues.
Here we go.
People move around the world to get a better life. That's different from fleeing, right? It's a different term. You gotta know it, Mike.
Let me ask you
Oh,
a
yeah,
question
because you
about
guys
the
are fleeing in
Kenyan.
mass. It says that
Mike,
you
let me
guys
just
have unequal
to the
development,
Kenyan.
urbanization, poverty,
When they flee,
corruption,
do you think
instability, political
when they
unrest.
flee, do you think
Order.
they'll be coming back to the Kenyan?
One mic. A premium black.
Do
A
they
premium
plan
black
to come back?
trying to speak.
When the Kenyans flee, do they plan to come back?
Okay, so can I make some constructive submission, please? Because everything I'm hearing is not constructive, and I hope that the people who have made the last few submissions do not come to Africa. You need to stay where you are. I think that right.
I don't
That's
have
not a
any
problem.
Hold
wishes
on.
to
Wait,
travel to
is
a
this
third
the brother
world
who
country
called me a coon?
where my
I
country
want a
advises
one-on-one
I
with the
don't
guy
even
who
go
called me
there
a
unless I
coon.
get half a dozen
Live
shots
coming
and
to
watch out
Africa.
for some
We want
local
you to
I,
be
I, I
PA5.
want I want a one-on-one with the
we
guy
want
who called
Indians
me a
to
coon.
stay in America, right? So anyway, let me just
I
say this.
want a one-on-one
We're
with the
Hey, it's
guy who
funny how
called
they
me a
act like
coon.
Africa is some grand destination
Can
that
be
people don't
American.
Sorry,
visit.
hang on, guys,
Africa
let's
Africa
have
is
is
one.
a
Let's have one
shithole.
Africa
Their entire
risking
one
life
their
and not even
conversation.
life.
missing a goddamn thing.
Calm
Why are they
One
down.
risking their
Tell us what
life
we're
All right,
to
missing
go
by not
somewhere
going to
else?
Africa while the Africans flee
one
Africa.
mic.
Why are they
Someone called
risking
me
their
a
life to
coon.
go somewhere
Someone
else?
called me a coon. I want them to
Answer
stand
that
on that.
question, please.
One mic.
Why are they risking their life to go somewhere else? Can anyone answer that?
Oh, and I
Why,
find
Well,
that
why,
Ma,
why
one
ironic
would
second.
you
because in
Those are
Africa
the
rival
there's
Indian
dusties.
3
business
million
for Kenyan
Kenyans that
business?
have fled and are currently
Yeah,
living
hang on.
abroad.
Mike,
So
one second,
yeah,
brother,
that's
right?
quite a big
Why
number
are
to
The
you
everybody.
sister
searching
asked a
for Africa?
question. One thing, guys, let me just quickly say my point, and someone else can say. My bye, right? Kenyans don't risk their lives to go anywhere. If we do leave the country, we leave it through legal immigration, through processes, right, into the UK or America. This is all documented. We don't flee. We don't risk our lives going through the Sahara Desert or anything like that, right? It's one of the few African countries that don't do that. Some do. Eritrea, Nigeria, all these people do it, right? But we don't. That's the point. So we don't risk our lives, right? We go apply for the visa, just like the majority of Americans, right? They went to America from somewhere else for a better life because America is the best country.
Except for
I
the
agree with that.
indigenous folks. Yeah, that's
Well, you're
cute.
not indigenous, right? You were a slave that was sold
Oh
by me.
yes. I guess my federally recognized tribal citizenship is just fraudulent, and the
Why are
checks
you
that I
Well,
in
get from
Africa?
my
so
tribe
I'm
on a
lost, Mike.
regular
You're
Well,
all
I
over
just
the
basis
want
place
to
now.
say
Like,
become
what
something
are
to
you?
the
because of
Kenyan.
ignorance.
One
Can
mic, one mic.
I'll let the Bush
you just
baby tell me
answer
who
the
I am.
Kenyan, please? Kenya, and I know about Kenyan because I know of people there who have committed suicide because they have no opportunities in Kenya.
It could be
That
Yes,
is,
suicide here in
hold on,
America.
hold
What are you
on.
talking
Yeah,
about?
but
What are
what
you
I'm
talking
What?
about?
saying,
exactly.
Could be
hold up. What
suicide
I'm
here in
saying
America.
is
Oh my,
there, but
oh my God.
there's no opportunity
My,
or
are
nothing
people
for
are
them.
people are people in America not committing suicide because of lack of opportunity?
I can guarantee you the suicide rate in Kenya is much less than America.
I
Right?
guarantee fact.
That's
Yeah,
anti-black.
that is not even homicide rate in Kenya. It's only 400,000. In America, it's 500,000. Right? We don't have as much crime. Suicide rate is much lower. Mabai, look, as I said, right, Kenya, Nairobi is one of the best places in the world. I live here. I'm in my own country. I make good money, right? I make at least
Let an
$300
African
a
rewrite
month.
history and they'll lie every time.
Can you not
Kenya's
cut him off?
suicide rate is 11 per
Can you,
100,000 people, and they say that the number is likely underestimated due to stigma and criminalization of suicides.
You're
Damn,
so
how do y'all criminalize people doing
Wait,
suicide? If
hang
they
on, hang
kill
on.
themselves, how do you make
You're
them a
saying,
criminal?
hang on,
How
you're
do you
hang on.
so
If you're
incarcerate
making a
them for
point,
killing themselves? I'm confused.
can you not take an anecdotal situation of one person and apply it to a population? Those statistics that you read, we have to question those.
I
Anyway,
can share my screen
I
and
just
cite
wanted,
my
you know,
sources.
we want you
So
to mind your
let's see if the Kenyan man can
business.
do the same.
Stay to your
yeah. So
position.
hang on. I will. Hang on, guys. One
Why are
second.
you even
See,
in
one
Africa?
second, guys. Just 1 second, please. Right. So the brother mentioned that Kenya has 11 per
I'm
100,000
not your brother,
suicide rate.
Bush baby. Don't
Yeah,
get it
that's fine.
twisted. I know you
Hey,
guys
That's
like to
hey,
okay.
guys,
hang
we gotta
Hang
some
on,
stop
guys.
this. We gotta hold
Black
on. One mic.
Americans
We
visiting
have to
Okay.
the
stop.
Mike.
Let's
but
stop.
that's
Let
Mike.
one mic.
fine.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna talk over me.
Hang
One
on,
mic.
guys. Please.
You're not gonna talk over me. Hey, we're gonna stop with the name calling. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
Yeah. So
Wait,
Mike, hang on.
I
You
can't
are
call him a
correct.
Bush baby, but y'all can call people.
No, you can call
All
me.
right.
It's fine. It's fine.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kizora. Let's
Yeah,
stop with the name
Mike,
calling.
he's gone.
listen, Mike, see, this is what I really love about people who bring up stats, right? Mike, you are correct. Suicide rate in Kenya is 11 per 100,000. However, in America, it's 14 per 100,000. You see, when you bring up stats, if you don't actually share, I can share my screen right now if you want, right? 14 is higher than 11, and that's a reality. So you can't bring up I don't know if you want to share it, Dynast, right? But that's for America. I go back to Kenya, it's 11 per 100,000. So it's just one of those things that don't make sense.
Hey, Kaizo, could you pull up the GDP per capita for Kenya and the GDP per capita for America?
The bigger
No,
picture
I think
is that everywhere black
hold on, one mic. I
right.
think it would be better to pull up the GDP capital for Kenya than the GDP capital per Black Americans. Is that correct? Or not? Means are you a Black American? Or are you just American?
I'm an American, but I'm a Black American, right? So look, when you wait, hold on. When you drive it down to Black Americans. We're above Hispanics, but below whites and Asians, but still way above Kenyans and any other African. We are the best of the blacks, the best educated, the most educated, the highest earning blacks to ever walk the planet. That's
Are
who
you
we are.
African descent?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I wanted
Western,
to
wait,
ask
wait,
you.
wait, hold on.
Are you of
Specifically,
Indian
Western
descent?
Central. Western Central African descent. I don't do the whole continent, but yes.
I was
Okay.
going.
All right.
I
So
was
can
I
I
was
make
gonna.
a quick submission, please? Everywhere we are in the world, African people, we are pretty much the lowest man on a totem pole, even in our own, everywhere in the world where you find descendants of Africa. And even when we go to the continent, we're also not in the best position. And in our own countries, based on the situation, we're in a pickle, you could say. And when you look at the global, when you look at the global politics of the world, you realize that Europe and United States is got Africa, depending on Africa currently, and has Africa in its sight for future prosperity, or to maintain its machine. It needs Africa necessarily, and it is making plans to keep Africa in the situation that it's in, so it can take advantage of Africa.
Don't leave China
And
out.
that's what
Wait,
keeps
hold on. I want
Africa.
to respond to this man. Why did you ask me if I was of African descent? That's not the same of me being an African. Let me just get that
Like
straight.
Mizzy,
Of
I
course, you
think
have
No,
to
no, not
qualify
me.
that.
Not hold on, not me. The reason why you asked because you have brothers in the chat room that's saying that
the
Black
Indians.
Americans are native or Indians. That
Oh, okay. Well, people know that I don't jack that. I have probably more Native ancestry than a lot of Black Americans, but that's admixture. And there's historical
Cap.
reasons for that admixture. Okay. But as far as Africa and oppression and Europe and blah, 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 Africans have their leaders to blame for the current state of Africa.
I don't
Okay.
mean to cut you off.
I
Can I ask you a question? You can
Go on,
finish though,
brother.
but
Go
yeah.
on. No, no,
So
go on.
okay, question is this, right? Not easy. You're okay. Look, I think Danis is a Pan African. Fair enough. You're something different. Fair enough. Question is this though. Um, West Africa being the final frontier, basically, I think he's kind of comparing it to the Wild West, meaning the Chinese and Europeans are going to benefit by actually owning all the real estates, the companies, construction companies, and anything that can kind of add value to the economy and then get wealthy. And I'm taking a very capitalistic sort of point of view here. So minus the whole, kumbaya, right? Don't you think that Black Americans should invest in West Africa because they could assimilate easier with the Africans and they could benefit themselves by building Africa as well as building themselves?
Absolutely not. I say, from a capitalistic standpoint, if you're a Black American and you want to invest in Africa or you want to do business in Africa, make sure that you are an expert or already doing some sort of business similar to what you're going to do on a continent before you get there. Forget about the Pan African angle. Pan Africans are dusty. Most of them are going there to hear drums at the airport and to dance their dusty feet in some
And you're a
sort of
capitalist.
ceremonial booty clap.
And you're a
Those are
capitalist,
the
right?
people those are the people who get their lunch ate
And
from a
you're a
business
capitalist,
standpoint.
right?
Wait, hold on. I'm not even talking to you. I'm talking to my brother Kaizo.
Right.
Those are the people that get their lunch ate. Those are the people who buy land and then they have the land get yapped from them because they go there thinking that
Right.
they're coming home. Now, why are we not going home when we go to Africa? Because we're an amalgamation of multiple tribes, so we don't belong to any one ethnic group, and we're treated like that. Ghana, Obroni, Nigeria, they call us all kind of shit over there. Two Bobs here, so they know we're different.
Have you
So
ever
you
been to
can't go
Africa?
there trying to assimilate based on blackness because who the f keeps trying to cut
you
me
know
off?
what? Not me. Let me interject. I really think you're projecting because that's not my experience. That's yours. That's
Wait,
my opinion.
Right.
No, that's
He's
the
never
truth.
even been
wait,
to
hold on.
That's your opinion.
Let me and Dynas get at it. I'll cook him. He's easy. He's like
never even
ramen
been to
noodles.
Africa.
Let's
Have you been
go.
to Africa?
He's been to Africa, but he's
Wait,
projecting.
hold on. Dynas,
But let me.
you
I'm
fell
gonna
for
pass
the.
it to Larry. Let me pass it to
Let me,
Larry.
thanks,
Go to
thanks
Larry.
very much. I've been hearing a lot about how America is great, and fine, I don't dispute that. I think it's a lovely country. I wanted to ask Natmizi before he starts his so-called round with you. Are you living and working in America right now, Natmizi?
Unmute yourself now, music. Unmute yourself.
It's the hyena hotep muting thing. No, I'm a international businessman. So I have business on the continent. I have business in America, and I have business in Europe.
So wait a minute. So you then agree with what Kaizo is saying, because you said you have business on the continent.
Right.
So you're in agreement with what Kaizo was saying, that Black Americans.
Not from the Pan-African standpoint.
No,
hold on, brother. Hold on. You asked me the question. I want to clarify for you, brother. Black Americans and any people walking this planet are free to do business everywhere they want. If you want to avoid the pitfalls of making emotional business investments based on your Pan-African beliefs, then follow me, follow Kaizo. We make business moves based on money, not based on blackness, which means nothing on a continent full of black people. That's what I'm saying, brother.
That's fine. Kaizo said it was about capitalism. So that's what Kaizo
he mentioned Pan-Africanism, and he also mentioned because we are Black Americans, we'd be able to fit in easier. And that's not the case, because they don't consider us black. They consider us white people with brown skin.
Again, that's your.
I have you triggered though. You guys, they be triggered though.
That's fine.
Not easy.
Hold on, let Larry talk. Hold on, let Larry talk. Go to Larry.
So you've told us everything, but the fact of the matter is, you're not based in America.
How do you know where I'm based? Bro, I have like 3 cribs. One in the Caribbean, one here in Europe, and one in America, in Pennsylvania.
Are you in America now?
No, but I was last week, and I'll be going in June. So I move all around the world whenever I want.
But you
don't. So I don't understand what your point is.
My point is,
you can't make assumptions about him, but he can make assumptions about Pan-Africanists and how.
You don't live in America, though. That's the point.
Wait, but okay, I don't live in America. What's your point?
Well, then it makes you a hypocrite. You're not practicing what you preach.
Wait, but what am I preaching? Am I preaching getting money all over the world as a Black American based on your expertise? Because that's what I'm preaching.
You're preaching this greatness about Black America, about America.
Yes.
And great. But the problem is...
Hold on. I want him to show me the hypocrisy, because...
Hold on, I got it. Larry, say your question again. I missed it.
Thank you very much. Look, it's very simple. Practice what you preach. If you're going to preach that America's this great thing, then you got to be based there. I mean, look at Kaizo. He's based in Kenya. He's repping Kenya, and he's based there. He's working there. The problem is, you're not permanently based in America.
Hold on, Natmizi. Did you?
I don't have to be, because Dynas preaches Africa, but he's based in Atlanta.
But you fled.
Dynas is based in Atlanta, but he's preaching Africa. So we as Black Americans can.
Hold on. Natmizi, did you flee from the streets of Brooklyn? Did you flee?
Yo, wait, hold on, Dynas. Why you keep muting me though? Why you keep muting me? Why you keep muting me?
You fled to Europe, Natmizi.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. You fled California and moved to the gayest country, the gayest city in America.
You fled.
Okay, so now wait, hold on. See, the childish "you fled" doesn't work with me. You know why? Because I'm international. Okay, so I've been moving around since a kid. That's why I speak more languages than everybody on the panel combined. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that there. Hold on. So let me get to the hypocrisy, the false hypocrisy that this guy tried to say. I clearly stated Black Americans can do business wherever they want based on business acumen,
Hey,
not based on
not
Pan
Measy.
Africanism.
So are you a tether in Europe? You're a tether in Europe, not me.
No, how am I a tether in Europe? See now,
Oh man, not
Dennis,
Measy. You're a tether.
are we
You're a
gonna make
tether.
jokes? Because
You're
if
an
you want to make
FBA tether. Not Measy's an FBA tether. I'm
That's
gonna
the
bring him
thing.
back. Not Measy, I'm gonna bring
He
you back on. You're
And if you're
FBA
Pan African,
tether in Europe.
and if you're Pan Africanist, you
Come
want to do
on,
business.
Doc Measy. You
You're
are
going
a
to be
F.
emotional.
Yeah, you're an FBA tether in Europe, per your definition of tether. Go ahead, Nigel. Unmute yourself, Nigel. All right, going once. Nigel, unmute yourself. All right, we're gonna move on. Go ahead, Festus.
Festus, are
Man,
you Kenyan?
yeah, I'm here. Man, what's the guy that
Are
fired
you
shots
Kenyan,
in Nigeria?
Festus? That's a Kenyan
No,
name.
I'm Nigerian. I'm Yoruba.
Oh, okay.
And I must say to some extent there are some truths as far as the African leaders keeping the country poor. Man, I was kind of hurt by those harsh words that you said, man. I'm still trying to recover. But if you look at many metrics, human deve- human developmental metrics, Nigeria is not doing well. So I'm not gonna speak on Nigeria. And yes, do we emigrate? We have many reasons as to why we flee or japa or emigrate. The country is not doing well economically, and we've actually been sliding down in many economic factors. The GDP per capita has actually gone down. Um, Other metrics like deaths at childbirth is also increasing amongst babies and mothers too. So those are things that we have to like speak truth about as far as what's going on in our country. But I'm not gonna come here and bash one group of people against the other one. We have problems that we have in our own country. And I would also speak on the fact that if African Americans were their own country, they'll be listed in the top 10 richest countries in the world. But regardless of that, all black people globally are basically permanent on the
Yeah, but
planet.
Festus, we got to put that in perspective. Like I'll use myself as an example. The way I was able to get my capital and where I'm at in society, I worked for corporate America, white-owned companies for somebody sawing wood. Stop it. What is that? Yeah, I worked in corporate America, for white-owned companies for a plus of 10, 15 years. So, and that's the problem I have with this Black American excellence, and not saying it doesn't exist. And look at you, African immigrants, and we're premium blacks. Here we go. Premium black is created by white capital. Premium blackness in America is dependent on white corporations. It's dependent on white institutions. That's just a fact. That's why I don't get into this. That's just reality. To be a premium black, or as Night Measy would say, you're depending on a white corporation, you're dependent on white institutions, period. Prove me wrong.
You
You
can't.
mean me?
Unfortunately, that's true.
I mean, that's just the fact. That's why I don't get into this premium black and we did this, we did that. Because in 2024, if you show me a premium black, I'll show you a guy who's dependent on white institutions or white corporations, which is fine. But come on now.
You have I'm not gonna discredit what you've said because I live here in Houston. I've been here since 2006, went to college, and I'm working. I also own businesses in the States and in Nigeria from my own earnings. And my folks, luckily, are one of the few Nigerians who are actually doing well in Nigeria. And do we get medical treatments overseas? Yes, we do. And like I always say before, like I would wish Nigeria got its shit together, but we're not where we ought to be. And we need to get respect globally, but we're not. We're making baby steps. We're not moving aggressively enough, and we have so much that we gotta work on. I just don't think this medium is a place or should be a place where people are throwing insult at each other. It's just not cohesive, you know.
Dynas, can I cook Night Measy for a second?
And then after that, I'm gonna pass it back to Knock Music.
Yeah, so Night Measy, I got a cookie for a second, right? You claim you're not a Pan-African, yet you literally are the godfather of my channel. So I don't know, man. I think there's something, something not quite right there.
How so? Like, I support people and do business with people regardless of their ethnicity. If I like your message or if I'm entertained, I'm going to spend money like a premium black would do. That has nothing to do with Pan-Africanism.
Change your tagline to FBA tether in Europe.
Okay, well, let's talk about.
You know what? Let me apologize.
Why are you, Dynas? Why are you doing this?
Stop the name calling. I'm gonna stop the name
calling.
calling.
No, but see,
that was wrong.
Wait, no problem. Hold on, everybody's talking. I was already backstage. They put me backstage when they run from the debate. I don't mind you calling me FBA tether in Europe, but I'd like to say, how am I tethering when I'm a businessman internationally? Just like you have business in Africa. You're not an African. You're a $5 Nigerian. You're a $5 Nigerian.
You have an FBA mentality. You have a mentality.
You see, I got you back.
Why you don't bring up the you don't bring up? You skip the Sierra Leonean. You skip the Sierra Leonean.
Well, you know why, Sierra Leone? Because you just wanted the ECOWAS passport. That's all.
Oh God, here we go.
Go ahead. So you could tell, brother. I don't take any of this personal. I don't take this personal. You know what I'm saying?
And you know, this is a beautiful thing that he does when he has these things, and we like to build and have some constructive, conversation, not the disingenuous rhetoric that you're pushing, which is just not. I mean, to say Pan-Africanists don't know how to do business and they're only emotional is some bullshit.
All right, well, brother, I like to have a conversation with you about it. You called me a coon, so let's have the conversation. You asked me if I've been to Africa, right? So that was a loaded question to try to discredit my knowledge about Africa. I'll literally run circles around you. I'll run circles around you, and everybody else told me about Africa.
It's about the conversation. It's not about me and you having a discourse. We can do that. Put your email in the chat, and we can have a discussion on some other, platform or whatever.
No, wait, but you called me a coon, though, and I want you to stand on your coon position. You made a coon position.
You're
if you're serious, chat, right? Click the link, right? I'm doing a stream after this stream ends, right? You can cook Night Measy all you want, but yeah.
He'll never cook me because he doesn't know me. He's new here.
You can't be offended that he called you a coon. You called West Africa a shithole. And
no, I'm not offended though. I'm not offended. You see, brother, Nigerian brother, or wherever you're from, when I call West Africa a shithole, I'll prove it. He calls me a coon, I want him to prove it.
The fact that what you choose to live in Europe more than your homeland doesn't make you a coon?
No, absolutely not. It makes me an international businessman.
The fact that you said don't know business.
I don't know. Let me give context.
Can I chip in? Please?
Yo, Kaizo. See, Kaizo here. Kaizo, let me ask you a question. Have you not seen me cam up from my house in the Caribbean?
Yep.
I've cammed up here in Europe, and then I'll cam up in America if you want, in Pennsylvania. I'm all over. I'm all over.
And it's about the
so wait, but Mr. African man, where are you right now? Where are you right now, Mr. African man?
I'm not a Pan-Africanist, so asking me that's not going to win you any points.
No, I thank God you're not a Pan-African, but you're in Houston. You're in Houston.
No, I'm not.
Somebody said they were you're in England under the Queen's tits. I can hear his accent. Yeah. He's under the Queen's tits. I get it. Why
I'm not an Africanist and I'm not a Pan-Africanist. So I don't come here preaching about this part of Africa is the best, is superior. I don't do that.
Yeah, but you know what, guys?
I'm actually the real guy who believes that the world is my oyster because I'm not loyal to any nation. But you're coming up here preaching this premium black thing, which is cool. I thought it was really good. And then I realized you're not even based in your homeland most of the time. So I thought, well,
wait, hold on. Now I want you to tell me my travel itinerary. Tell me, and then I want you to go based on the type of visa that I had because I changed it. All right. And tell me how long I can stay in Europe and keep my visa valid before I can travel. Most is 8 months, right? But I can go wherever I want, whenever I want, because that's what premium blacks do. No matter where I go, I'm not going to stop being an American. I'm not going to stop representing myself as an American. And I get Black American privilege here. 100%. When they realize I'm not an African, that's when they start taking me more serious.
Your
That's a fact.
disparaging comments and your narcissistic ego bullshit.
Oh, he's going to cry. He's going to cry.
That's the Niger. Go ahead, Niger. Niger, unmute your mic.
Namizi is all about himself. He's self-centered. All he wants is money, business, and to do whatever he wants to do for himself. So calling himself premium black doesn't mean a damn thing. Wherever he goes, wherever
guys,
he goes,
one second.
Hold on. Wherever he travels to, the Caribbean, the Europe, Africa, in America, he's gonna be a minority. They're gonna treat him like they're gonna be racist towards him, no matter how much money he has. It don't matter. He can diss me, he can insult me, he can say whatever he wants to say. But at the end of the day, all he is a self-centered human being that became successful. And now he thinks he's all that. If it's money,
no, but that's fine. I'm not going to clap back at you. I'm not going to clap back at you. I'm not going to be mean. Obviously, God has already been mean to you, and
I don't agree with what Nigel said, right? I know Nakmizi, right? And again, I think he is what he is, right? He's a Black American that was unfortunately caught for some crime in his past life, right? But look, Nakmizi literally pays my rent every month, right? That's one. I put on shows with white supremacists, right, and white liberals, right? Nakmizi's never gone to that channel. Every time he realized
why you put his business out
there's a
there?
point. There's a point that I'm making here, right? There's a point here. Nakmizi actually supports Black and African media all the time, right? He literally, right? This nigga over here spends like $300 super chats, right, to help African media. I know he doesn't like Africans for whatever reason he is, but I think Nakmizi is actually pro-Black. That's the thing. We can't, call him a coon.
It's not that I don't like Africans. I don't like Africans that have smoke for my people. That's it. If you have smoke for my people, I got smoke for you. Kaizo, tell them about the white people that I cook on your channel.
Yeah, all the time, right? If I hang on Ellery, right? Every time I'm okay. My channel is free speech, right? Meaning I allow white people to come through, right? Every single time white people come through, everyone else, all the Africans, unfortunately, some Africans are very, buddy with him. That means he cooks them all the time. He cooks them. So I will say this, right? He's not a coon. He is actually pro-Black. I think the whole Pan-Africanism. I don't know why, but maybe he just doesn't like a certain aspect of Pan-Africanism. But in his actions, he makes money from whatever country he's from, and he does actually work with businesses. I mean, I was even about to do a business contract with him prior, so I will say that he does prioritize Black businesses. Maybe it just doesn't always come through when he's speaking. I don't know what's going on there.
Let me read this real quick. The emoji brings up a great point. This is for the premium Black, aka not Measy. Us premium Blacks just sat back and witnessed whites in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, seize rate themselves and create a whole new damn city. They just set the blueprint for the rest of the Southern whites in the rest of the U.S. What are your thoughts on that comment, premium Black?
I'm trying to make sense of that long run-on sentence.
No. So
I'm like, he's obviously not premium. He didn't pay attention to school, but yeah, make sense of it for me, please.
Okay, so are you familiar with the new city that's being formed outside of Baton Rouge? Are you familiar?
No, I'm not. What's going on with it?
So white people in Baton Rouge are leaving Baton Rouge because of Black people. Let's just be honest, the crime, the schools, and they're forming their own city. And literally, you have Black people who are saying that because of these white people are leaving, that the Black community is not going to be able to survive.
Yeah, I mean that has, and I feel sorry for my people in the Deep South who don't have the economic opportunities that we in the North and in the West and in the, further north in the South have. I feel for them, but I don't come from a place where I rely on white people to do anything for me. I try to make white people irrelevant in my life, for real. I'll do business with them, but if I'd rather just do business with black people.
I wouldn't do business with you. But you know what?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't do business with you either, buddy.
We started a city in 1989, and we didn't have a large tax base. But just before we were doing our charter and getting our paperwork and stuff. The
Hmm.
adjacent cities to us start making deals and started to annex land that would have brought a tax base to our city, East Palo Alto, California, known as Little Nairobi, and and even one part of the black community, the edge of it, which was the city of Menlo Park. They became a part of the city of Menlo Park, which their land also had a tax base too. They had a little business park, but the other end of this East Palo Alto unincorporated area had a golf course and a little Cessna airport. And so Palo Alto and Menlo Park made these deals to, we're going to give you this land in the hills, you give us this airport and whatever. So they made these backdoor deals before we became a city, and then tried to sue us to stop us from becoming a city. So they play all of these things, these games, when we're trying to build and do our build our lives up. We don't have time to be playing games about Pan-Africanist, this kind of conversation. We're trying to build. I'm very serious about these conversations and about my work in the community that I've been involved in. From the junior college that we had, I was a kid. We had a junior college, Nairobi Junior College, right? I tell this story all the time. And it was in houses. So we tried to do our own city. They, didn't give us accreditation for it, but we had all of the everything that it took to be a junior college. But long story short, we struggled to keep the city going with our services, police, fire, water departments. And finally, there were some decisions that were made that we were between a rock and a hard place. But selling the land of our high school, which they closed our one high school for 30,000 people. We had one high school. They closed that high school down in like 1970 something. So the city sold this land instead of leasing the land, they sold the land to IKEA, Home Depot, Good Guy, all of these big, retail places. And that became a tax base for us as well. The one main street we had was sold to Four Seasons Hotel and built office buildings for law firms on the sort of other side of the freeway. We called it Whiskey Gulch. It was our little main street where we had some black businesses. And it's like I'm watching this whole thing as a young adult take place, and I think about this community in Baton Rouge and the black people there saying what they're saying, and it's just like we can learn from each other's mistakes, but at the same time, we're under war. We're under attack. It is a serious battle that we're against, and it's no guns per se, it's no bombs, it's business in a lot of sense. And I have serious concerns about our future in this country, in the United States. And we need to be thinking about how we can work with Africa. It doesn't mean we have to move to Africa, but we need to be thinking about how we can do business with Africa. And I think if we're successful and we're doing good, that's another fight, So maybe the thing
Yeah.
is,
So 1 second.
Well, I want
Dynast,
to
I've said
ask you
in
brother
my
a
five.
question, Kaiser. Hold on, Kaiser. Give me a second, brother. Um, I just want to know from the brother, and I like that he was involved with a black community and community building. I like that kind of stuff. What what sort of business would you personally want to leverage or do in Africa? And what part of Africa?
personally or in a capacity as a city that is, a black city, which one?
Whatever business you're currently involved with, how can Africa help you with that? What are you going to get from Africa?
So I'm in fashion now, and I do my own thing. I was involved with model management. Now I'm in design, um, and so working with helping to build industry there, helping to work with artists who want to do this, thing that I'm involved in, fashion, and making money by collaborating and and building the industry there. So yeah, and what's really missing is all of the textile, the mills and textile industry closed up, and it was decisions that were made. It was the elite business decisions of the governments and business people that closed up a lot of the industry. In fact, I watched a documentary on Idire in Abeokuta. Idire is tie dye. So they used to do tie dye from the beginning to the end. Now the Chinese have gone and taken their print and they produce these traditional prints and stuff that looks like it in China, cheap on some cheap ass fabric, not even all the way cotton, and selling it to
Mhm.
the Africans instead of the
All right,
African.
so brother, I hold on. I got the answer and I appreciate it. I'm glad you brought up the Chinese, but who have an even stronger hold are the Dutch. The African wax prints, majority of them come from Holland, right? So when I ask you how can you leverage Africa for business from a fashion standpoint, you can't because you're going to be dealing with the Chinese or the Dutch. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. When people come, we need to get to Africa to make business deals. I went with you. Your whole personal thing is going back to China and Holland. So that's what I'm saying. When we look at Africa as some sort of business partner, when Africa has been in the pockets of their neo-colonizers and their old colonizers, a whole bunch of them maybe 4 years ago rejoined the Commonwealth. It's a dead end if you're trying to do business with Africans because it's going to be a Lebanese, a Chinaman, or somebody else, non-African, that you're going to have to do business with. For that, just do it in America.
That's not true, not me. That's not necessarily.
It is true.
They just
Can I
renegotiated
chip
the
in?
deal
Can
they
I
had
chip
with
in?
the fishing industry. The new president of
Yeah, I want guys, just before you chip in, Dynast, I want to see if you're a real Pan African, right? Are you able to share my channel link? I've sent you a nice 500 Kenyan shillings over there to support. It's in the private chat. If you do, I will do business with you. If not, I will go to Nakmizi's side.
Wait, but you're not a Pan Africanist.
Of course, I share your channel. I mean, why wouldn't I?
But Kaiser, you're not a Pan Africanist anyway.
It's not about me, though, Ellery, right? It's not about me. It's about Dynast, right?
I mean, of course I would. I mean.
Oh, you're using capitalism to emotionally blackmail him to like.
I mean, I'm not emotionally blackmail. I would have shared the channel. In fact, anybody on this page that's on this platform, I mean, that's on this panel. That if you have a YouTube page, I have no problem shouting it out.
Dynast, I'm selling FBA is the greatest T-shirts. FBA, we are the greatest T-shirts. Can you plug that for me?
So it really takes negotiating deals. If the leadership like Diomaye Faye Biasuru in Senegal, he's
yeah. So sure. Let me just chime in a little bit, right? So Nakmizi was right about one point. Dutch prints, unfortunately, they do produce majority of African prints. So if you come to Kenya, for example, the Maasai prints, they are produced by the Dutch. Any sort of indigenous prints. The issue is, right, it's production costs. So if you do it, Nakmizi is, connected with those kinds of people. Perhaps, he can speak to, I'm just saying like there's some opportunities.
Trade, right? Isn't an issue
Can I chip in?
Trade with different countries, and you can ban certain trade from coming into your country. They can
you can ban it, but none of us have access to it.
Shay, can I chip in?
Wait, hold on, brother. Before you chip in, I just want to drive the point home that the brother, and respect to him, made. I asked him to give me his best shot, essentially, about business in Africa. He gives me business in Africa that leads to where Holland and the Chinese. And Dynast tried to call cap on it, but it's not cap. Matter of fact, I deal I deal in wax prints. I deal in wax prints. Look at this. I literally have prints that I get. So maybe you want to holler at me, the European tether, and I could hook you up, brother.
not easy, but he brought up Adire, which I mean is still being done. The indigenous Adire is still being done. So he doesn't have.
No, and that's true. But the majority of the African prints are not done by Africans, and that's what I said. That's why I say People don't give me the props that I deserve. I don't get up here capping.
I'm not
So the
even on
brother,
that end
he
of
lost that
fashion.
one. He
I'm
lost
on
that
the
one.
other end of fashion where it is you make it and design it, and you know, I'm on the other end. I'm not on the end of getting textiles and doing mass production of some type of clothes, and I need to get it a real cheap deal on the textiles. That's not. I'm on the other end. I'm on the high fashion end. So
So
that's not
then
even
on
my
the high
business.
fashion, then you can take the question
That's not my
again
business.
because you went to textiles. So you lost that one. So now tell me on a high fashion end, what sort of business can you do in Africa? We're
So,
waiting.
so for me, the reason I brought up textiles is because in helping to build the industry of fashion, you have to deal with different aspects of fashion. You can't just deal with the end where you're dealing with tailors or seamstress and in photo shoots and fashion weeks and that kind of stuff. You have to also deal with the people who are going to do the ready to wear. If you structure it like the Europeans do, they have the high end and everybody wants that, and then it gets whittled down into the ready to wear to mass consumption of something. It doesn't have to be that model. However, that is a concern for the people who are in the industry, is being able to get more from the industry if they're getting monies from having a factory that produces print. In fact, I was at Jacob Javits Center, which I live here in Manhattan, and they have this big textile thing every year, and there's 250 different vendors from all over the world, mostly China. One African vendor out of more than 250 different vendors where they have the little booths and they pay money and stuff. And the one African vendor was owned by white folks who had a kind of like a little factory in Ivory Coast and Ghana, and it was owned by white folks. And I had to ask him, well, who owns it? Oh, it's a hedge fund that investors that own it. He tried to make it sound, like something else than an individual. But the point is that that's where we are as a people. When it comes to business, it's like ridiculous, and we spend all this money. It's not like we're not spending money. We're spending lots of money. So really,
Brother, so you still haven't proven your point about doing Africa. And
Right.
Dynas, don't protect him. Have him
I'm not.
stand
I'm gonna pass.
on
I
it.
gotta pass the festers. I gotta pass the festers. Like for me, I can
Okay.
speak for myself. I'm into hospitality and tourism on the continent. Go ahead, Festus.
Thank you, Dynast. About the African textile, adire, that's the Yoruba old fabric, and then Ankara is Dutch wax. A lot of Nigerians don't know that Ankara was actually made by the Dutch, and now even Ashoke, that's originally Yoruba. I'm sure you must have noticed that because you've been to Nigeria very well. A lot of that is actually being done by the Chinese. Even when it comes to like food, like a lot of like our swallows, we used to make them, but the Chinese are making them. Not like everything has been taken over by the Chinese, but we can see how the Chinese have infiltrated through what we used to actually do
Okay,
by
when you say they're
ourselves.
making a swallow, like expand on that.
So like cassava, they or even like tin tomato, like tomato paste, tomato puree.
No.
We used to
You mentioned swallow. Let's stick with swallow. Okay, well let's
okay.
stick with the swallow. Like, so how? What are they doing with the swallow?
So if you know like yam, the skin of
Right.
yam, it's dried and it's turned into like flour. And then we use that, we make like amala or semo or whatnot, right? Fufu, right? I go to Nigeria like 3 or 4 times a year because I have businesses there. And people say in the market, like my mom's aunts, they say like Chinese products are actually coming in day in, day out. And the government doesn't really do much to actually curb all this foreign produce into our country. So that's a failure on our government. And I think to Shay's point, when I came to the
So
US in 2000,
you're saying the ingredients to make the swallow is being imported in.
the food itself is being imported in.
Okay, but again, I'm the swallow, because when I'm in Nigeria, I see the women pounding. My bad. I see the women pounding the yam and making the swallow.
So there are different types of swallows that we eat. There is pounded yam, there is fufu, there is all kinds. But I go to the market. My aunts, they take me to the market to go shop, and they say this and this and this are being brought in from China. So it's not like a made up story or anything like.
No, but again, so you're saying the ingredients itself.
the ingredients
Yeah.
would The
the
yam
ingredients,
tuber.
That's why
the flour itself is being brought in.
If you go to the supermarkets in Nigeria, in some cases you'll find already processed powder flour that can be converted when you put it in a pot, stir it with water, that can then become like fufu or swallow.
How did
So
Yeah,
you?
that
yeah,
but what I'm saying is, when I'm in the village, they ain't pouring
yeah,
no.
in the village, in the village, you won't see that, but in the cities, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, Enugu, those kind
So,
of places,
so if
you will
Dynast,
see
my
it.
point is being proven time and time again, Dynast. Acknowledge that.
So what I'm saying is intrusion of other people into our economy. And when I first came to the US, I was quite ignorant. I never really learned about African American history. So I was one of those unfortunate lost souls that looked down on black folks. But I read a lot of books. And from my own understanding was when I realized, this systemic racism that keeps black folks down is still in the global sense what keeps Africa down. But we also have lazy politicians who are, in the back pockets of the neo-colonialists who are actually abating all this to happen in our country. So there was a research done. I did my MBA. I finished 2022, and I did a research about like black power, black dollar. And I think the US black, they have a 2 point something trillion dollar like moving around in the black community, but the money is not being spent into black businesses. Like black air products, it's they buy that from like the Koreans, the Chinese. There's so many things that I think from Shay's point of view, being a black man at this point, I can't wait for any government or any Jesus Christ, any MLK to come and save me or my people. I'll do the best I can to help my fellow brothers, but at the same time, I gotta, do the best I can to make sure like me and my future generations are all set. Because this is the state that we are in right now. And if one group of people, politicians in one black country cannot get their shit together, and they've basically cursed all black folks in this country to destitution and poverty, it is my own duty to look after my own people, my own family, my children, my wife, my immediate family. That's all I can do.
If Senegal can do it, Nigeria can do it, Ghana can do it, Togo can do it.
Well, Shay, you're totally right. I did some program 2022, and I met a lot of African students, like business entrepreneurs. They came to us in Texas. And this Ghanaian guy was saying, we're all waiting for Nigeria. Nigeria is the giant of Africa, the population, this, and this, and that. And me knowing my country and the mess, that we have. Hey, don't wait for Nigeria. Like, go and sort yourself out. When Nigeria is ready, we'll figure out how to get our country, back to where it needs to be. But no one should wait for anyone. I understand if Senegal can and if Kenya can, and that's great. That's awesome. But don't wait for us. Sort yourself out, such a family, your country, and do what you gotta do. Don't wait for one big MLK or Malcolm X. No, at this point, you just gotta watch out for your own, man.
Well, the African has spoken, and Nakmizi has proven his point.
Hey,
At
I'm
this
not.
point, why y'all cutting me off, bro?
No.
You don't want to hear from the premium black. You don't want to hear from the premium.
Let me pass it
This
to.
is racism.
Let me add some context.
Go ahead, Marie.
Oh no, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on, Diners, and thank you for everything that you do. You're doing a good job. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So it's not that African politicians don't do that job. When we get a good politician, the CIA take him out. So that's where the problem starts. So we know the history of governments that come in and destabilize certain places all over the world. This is known facts. PLO, Lumumba, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So it's not the fault of Nigeria that the US purposely choose certain politicians, put them in place so they can give the multinational companies the hands up to get the materials they want so they can be prosperous here in the States. So that's the problem. It's not that Africa doesn't want to succeed. It's that there's manipulations that go on behind the scenes, just like Tinubu became president. We don't know how he became president because we didn't vote for him. But all of a sudden, he's now the president and he's ruling, and the United States are happy. IMF is there, devaluing our currency, so the United States can then buy our natural resources and our commodities for a lot cheaper because of the inflation going on here in the States. So you have to dig a little bit deeper to understand what's really going on in geopolitics and what's going on in the world economies to understand the game they're playing. They have the upper hand because they've been doing this for centuries. And all these countries in Africa gained their independence and not freedom. There's a difference between independence and freedom. We are not yet free in Africa. We got our independence just a few decades ago. So we're still trying to recover. We're still trying to get a hold of our natural resources. We're still trying to build our countries, but they keep installing puppets into the leadership roles that keep messing up our economies. So it's not that we don't want to do better. It's that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know how to take care of. Because the CIA doesn't come out like the military and do things in the front line, they do things behind the scenes.
These puppets that you mentioned, they don't come from outer space. They don't come from other planets. They come from Africa. Their own people abuse and sell out their own. So we need to call it out.
Thank you.
What I'm trying to tell you is that not even just Africa. Look at Latin America. Look at South America. Look at Argentina today. Look at how they purposely chose the guy that they chose so he doesn't become a part of BRICS.
You're just making my point. They chose the people who would sell out their own people. In the United States of America, they have a military base called the School of the Americas. It's changed its name. If you look at its past alumni list, it's literally a who's who of Latin American dictators. They came to America, they were trained at that academy, they went back to their countries, sold out their own people, and instigated military dictatorship. So everybody needs to take the blame. Yes, the Westerners are cunning.
Larry,
they are smart. But we sold our own people out, even going all the way back to colonization.
Dynast, can I say my closing statements? I've got things to do.
Okay, let me read these super chats.
All right, brother.
We do business from Rwanda. We ship coffee to China and America all the time. Doing business in Africa is possible with the right connections, of course. Premium Black, go ahead. Well, not music. Go ahead.
No, you had it right first. Yes, thank you for allowing me to cook on this panel again. Like I said, Africa is not the future. It's not the now. I want Africa to succeed. I really, really do. But that's a problem that Africans can resolve. We in the diaspora do not have the answers for Africa. Africans are smart enough to figure out their own issues, and I wish them all the best. We need to mind our Black business and focus on our issues that we have in America, because God knows, whether you call him Muhammad, whatever, knows that we got a lot of them. All right? So shout out to the brother who said he wants to do business in Africa, but then chose a business that he got to deal with the Chinese and the Dutch. I'm out.
Right. So for me, I don't reveal my details, and I didn't really appreciate his energy. But anyway.
I think somebody had a question for Larry.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on what Larry said about our folks actually doing the business of of the Western countries. It is a pity, it is a shameful thing for our people to do. But I think sometimes you gotta go back into history and actually, on the contrary, they're like, is it easy for any one nation to like influence the political situation in the US? It doesn't happen. So why is it that the Westerners are the ones doing that to us? Why can't they just back off and let us grow at our own pace? it's easy to pick out the weakest of a group of people, right? To do their
There's an
thing.
answer to the question you asked. Why don't they let us go at our own pace? The reason why they don't let us go at our own pace is because they need access to our resources, and they need access to our resources cheap. They don't want us to actually be developed where we will tell them this is the price for the product. So they instigate coups, they instigate civil war, they put puppets there who are going to cause chaos so they can take those goods out cheap. Look what's going on in Congo. All those Congolese people are dying, being murdered. But I guarantee you, while all those Congolese people are being murdered, resources, natural resources from Congo are still being pulled out and are still going to end up in parts of Europe.
So you're agreeing with me then, what I said earlier on?
I'm agreeing that the reason that chaos exists in Congo is because they are Congolese who have sold out their own people and are allowing the chaos to take place. They are taking part in it, so they're making money for themselves. They could stop it, they could make it difficult, but they choose to sell out their own.
Exactly. But the West knows how to play that game. So they choose a few people, give them a few dollars, make them comfortable, and then they just manipulate everybody else and exploit everybody else.
Or they just go in and take shit too. See, we have to recognize that that's possible. A lot of those scenarios where they just go in and take, and you don't have guns, you don't have the capacity to defend or stave them off. You don't have any of that, and so it was easy in the Congo, perhaps because they did, use the FDLR, the people that fled Rwanda that were responsible for a lot of those deaths. They just found a likely ally to, feed them guns and stuff and say, just you're over here, you're not really citizens, talking about these rebel warriors, M23. You're not really citizens of the Congo, and you can't go back to Rwanda. So here's some guns, and just fight until you die. I don't know.
All right, let me because I have to get out of here shortly. Let me pass it to Brandon, then Jagoon, then Al, then I got Yee.
Hey, Dynas, can you hear me? Okay.
It sounds like you're on your Obama phone, but
Okay, I just want to say this: in every country in Africa, the same people that they're calling puppets, you will find millions of Africans supporting those people. If you say Uhuru Kenyatta is a puppet, there are a million Kikuyus or more who support him. If you go and say any president or leader in any African country is a puppet, there are millions of his countrymen, most likely his tribe members, who support him.
Tribesmen. You're right.
Tribesmen. This is the thing. How long will we keep saying, oh, they're puppets of the West? These people are not puppets. These are people who are making calculated decisions based on the way they were raised to screw their people over. This is like on autopilot at this point. The United States doesn't have to come recruit anybody to be a puppet. These people.
Well, let me tell you how they do it, because I didn't explain myself. So if America makes African countries dependent on them, so they make it dependent on them via aids, loans, and other types of economic activities. So once you become dependent on them, if you choose to obey, they'll take care of you. If you disobey, they'll sanction you, they'll take away the aids, they'll make you suffer, and they'll make your people go against you with disinformation and misinformation. Look at Gaddafi. Gaddafi was doing a wonder. Go ahead.
He wasn't doing anything wonderful. He was an Arabist. He was a straight. Listen, I'm not getting into that. I'm telling you, what you're saying literally contradicts the point you made earlier. Oh, they make us dependent on them. No, they're just as dependent on you as you are on them. Just like they can take away what they can offer, they can give you, you can take away what you have that they want. Why do you think Joe Biden was trying to make calls to Saudi Arabia to start producing more oil when we stopped getting Russian oil?
Okay,
Saudi Arabia,
folks.
Just one second.
No, I got to pass it to other people because I got to close out. So go ahead, Brandon. I'm gonna pass it to Al Out. I'm gonna pass it to yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, yeah, let me just say, so Saudi Arabia doesn't have the military capability of the United States, but Saudi Arabia understands they'll do just like what Saddam Hussein did. You come in here and try to take ours, we'll burn this oil up. We'll set fire to this oil before we let you come in here and take it without paying us. African countries are led by people who say, look, I know how to manipulate these people. Come work with me. I'll do the manipulation job, and then I'll make sure you get the resources at a discounted rate. Stop blaming the United States because your own people are selling you out. That's going to be the first step to recovering from this mess. Stop, because those people know no matter what I do, just like leaders in America, they know no matter what I do, my people will just blame the US for it. And that gives them the space they need to operate maliciously against their own group. I'm done.
All right, let me pass it. No, hold on. So I gotta pass it. Let me pass it to Jagoon and Al Out and yeah, I gotta go. Go ahead, Jagoon.
Hi, thank you guys. Good evening. I understand that you got to run. I've come in late, but I've caught some of what's been said here, and I believe it's a bit harsh. Especially the last speaker, whilst he may be knowledgeable, I don't think he understands the human factor in all these things. Negotiations are very difficult. And it's true. I believe that Africans and African politicians and business people are not negotiating to the point of real development. Our negotiation skills, as a businessman myself, I know you got to negotiate. If you're not in it to negotiate, then you're losing straight away. So yes, he made that point, and negotiation is poignant. However, you just can't take away the fact that the trickery of the European on the planet Earth is what puts them where they are. If you're going to pretend that there's no trickery, it's not a handshake, it's not a gentleman's handshake that's going on here. It's trickery. So if you're going to deny, because I'm a person that I don't like to blame the white man. I've got my life to deal with. I get on with it. You understand? I'm making my plans. I'm doing what I've got to do. However, you'll be a fool, an idiot, an asshole if you believe that white people haven't got their own level of blame. I understand the frustration that we may have, thinking that we've got to get up and do something and we're not doing enough. And I agree with that. But if you pretend that the white man isn't a devil in the detail, then I'm afraid you're an idiot. I'll end it there.
Okay, let me pass it to Al. Go ahead, Al.
Thank you, Brother Dynast. I mean, I noticed what you done today. Very good peacekeeping tactics, keeping me away from that raising from one another. But yeah, basically, I totally agree with Brandon. I mean, the tribal loyalty to the leaders that we elect is one of the problems. It's what making our countries and our continent sick. Even the Europeans and the Americans that Jagun, obviously trying to shy away from a little bit, even though he admits that, obviously, they are not totally to blame, are obviously complicit of this. They know, they know our problem, our weakness is tribalism. So they play this game. Yeah, they will come and side with one tribe or one section of the society, and when they finish with those people, they go to the next.
Can I quickly ask you this word tribalism? I need to ask you what is your prescription for what you call tribalism? What's the cure?
Okay. I'll give you an example now. I'll give you an example of Nigeria, right? If you have a northerner like Buhari, he was in power. He messed up. For example, you said yesterday Buhari messed up. In some degree, he left the country in mess, right? Who was supporting Buhari in that 8 years in power? Who were the majority of the people who elected him? The people from the north, his people, the Hausa and the Fulani, right? And obviously some people in the south that actually gaining from his leadership. These people did not do it because of for the nation, this lack of patriotism also. Because
no. I'm asking for what is your cure? You're just giving me.
What is a cure? What is a cure?
Yeah, because there's no point in saying tribalism is that problem. Tribalism. You're always saying it, or people always say it. But what's the cure? Because people say things something idiotic like, "Oh, we just got to stop it." How?
Let him answer. I got to pass it to Go ahead.
How do we stop it? Is by choosing leader based on competence, not based on tribe or regionalism. And the leaders that we choose have to stop siding only, for their people, with their people, and side for the entire nation. It's more patriotism that we mentioned the other day on the Dynasty show. We was actually trying to emphasize in it, which was very important show and important point that was pointing out. But a lot of people fail to recognize it. It just shows we haven't still come to our problem. If you don't know what your problem is, can you solve it? If the outsiders can see the lack of patriotism in your nation, how can they not come in and actually take it over because they can see you don't want it? If you don't want your good, if you have a good, it's valuable property, in other man's eye, you are looking at this thing like trash. By the time you know it, someone is going to snatch it from you while he's sleeping, one eye open. But Dennis, I'm not going to keep you long, brother. Thank you very much for the show.
Oh,
I,
Dennis, I have
I,
a
I
quick question for you before you go.
okay.
I got to pass it to Yed because we got to go Yed.
Dennis, I wanted to ask a question about your itinerary. Itinerary. Do you have a like with your itinerary? Do you do it for like the whole year? Because I want to see if I could do one of your trips like later
It's
on.
not. Have you been to
Towards.
the have you been to the website?
Oh, I didn't really know that was a website.
Okay, yeah, I shouted out at the beginning of every show, Donfo.Africa.
Okay, got it. All right.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. Unmute
Yeah.
yourself.
Greetings, gentlemen. Yeah, nice topic. I doubt.
One second. Mafo Rose, that's the website. Donfo, DANFO.Africa. It's right there. All right, yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, for anyone just thinking, you have to be balanced in your views. I've seen the King for Unlimited talk his own crap, but you can't speak that way with regards to the African continent. And the person who was talking about using Nigeria as an example, voting in former President General Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari, you need to understand the context in which that was done. There was a former president who was an entire civilian president who had no military background, and then there was an uprising of terrorism and insurgency. So with the bombings and things of that nature, it was then like, oh, let's get a general in that is going to subdue all of this, right? And the person that was on the ballot at the time happened to be former President General Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari, and that happened. So it was not even just his king folk. His king folks are only in Katsina, really. So it wasn't like a northern Muslim thing. It was like, okay, let's allow someone that can handle the security issues. What nobody put into, and then with his past experience as a former head of state, that supported the argument, right? Nobody put into consideration that age had a factor to play in it. He was no longer the young guy in the 80s. He was now an elder statesman, right? So that is for that issue. Africa is the past, present, and the future. Anyone who's I've seen the other guy who came and was talking about foundational Black Americans and that Africa is not the present, Africa is not the future. That is him being delusional.
He's
Africa
an
is the
idiot. He's just an idiot. Talking idiot
Africa
talk.
is the past, present, and the future. There's several contexts you have to look at. After the Arab slave trade, there was the Atlantic slave trade. There was no pause. After the Atlantic slave trade, there was colonization. There was no pause. After colonization, neo-colonization, there was no pause. So we're talking about at least like 5,000 years of basically the African continent not being itself, indigenous ethnic nationality kingdoms not being themselves for 5,000 years. So clearly, those who were doing the exploitation have an advantage. So for anyone to rule out that advantage from the indigenous ethnic nationality kingdoms of their ancestral land on the African continent is delusional. You have to always put that into context. Now, with the leaders, you need to understand we don't have nuclear powers. We don't have We don't have a military industrial complex. You can use Nigeria as a valid example of the coups and counter coups that happened in Nigeria. I've said this on this show before. In 1958 was when Nigeria started exporting its first crude oil. Nigeria got its independence in 1960. But guess what? Nigeria had no equity. This is now the English doing their thing. The same thing you're seeing with the Francophone countries and France. Don't forget the English are doing the same thing. Nigeria, first time having equity in its oil exploration and export was in 1972 by former President General Yakubu Gowon indigenization policy. And then in 1989 was when former President General Chief Olusegun Obasanjo fully nationalized it, because in 1972 it was just 40%. And then in 1989, it was now full-blown nationalization. So what you're seeing happening in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, practically Nigeria did it in 1972 to 1989. But then there was no social media, so obviously it's not well known. Even most Nigerians don't know this fundamental fact. You need to put that into context. Most of the infrastructure, the institutions, the refineries of Nigeria was built under the military era. The three refineries, Port Harcourt, Kaduna. Is it Port Harcourt, Kaduna, and which other refinery?
Worry.
The Warri refinery were all built under the military. ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, was the brainchild of former President General Yakubu Gowon. African export, and that is regional, that is used till today. We still benefit from that to this very second we speak, the whole of West Africa. That institution. Now,
Ajakuta still.
Pardon?
Don't leave out when the naira was 2 to 1. It was $2 to 1 naira in the 1970s, right? And
yeah.
Ajakuta still was completed in 83, I think. And
no, Ajakuta still was actually former President Alhaji Shagari, Shehu Shagari's brainchild.
Right,
which
but
is one of the mistakes the Nigerian military made. They should have made sure that that project was finalized, finished, and was given 100% output of steel for the manufacturing system in Nigeria.
It was 90% finished. They just needed to give the
but listen,
97% finished.
Yes,
the Nigerians had 3% to close that deal, and they failed.
Can I tell you guys, there was pressure about that as well from the same colonial powers, Western powers, that was saying, "Oh, it's expensive." Instead, do the, and don't forget, we're talking about the military era here. So there was all this whole
Bros. You see, the way you're coming across, I'm confused, I must say, because you're mentioning
we gotta close out in 2 minutes, so you gotta.
Bro, no, let's have the conversation, man. You're mentioning things that are knowledgeable, but you're not making any point. You're giving excuses. You see, when you're a nation and you're trying to achieve something, to say, "Oh, it's the Westerners," this is where we just get weak and silly and childish. If we've made an error, stand up and say that we've made an error, and stop all these rubbish excuses. It's not palatable. It's not palatable.
Are you done?
I'm speaking to you. You should be done. You know what I mean?
Finish. Yeah, you got a minute. You gotta go.
All right, so I have already mentioned one of the mistakes with the Ajakuta still not finishing that. So now we are in a situation where in the 21st century, before that, I also wanted to mention another institution. Before I was interjecting, which is the African Export-Import Bank, was the brainchild of former President General Alhaji Ibrahim Babangida, which now the entire continent uses the African Export-Import Bank. So these are regional and continental institutions that was done by actual former presidents of Nigeria. Now, in the 21st century, what we have seen is those who were fighting for democracy have not done the same level of developments and buildings of institutions that happened in the last, during the military era, and that is the continuation of governance that we
All
need
right,
to
guys,
see
we got.
more
I got to close out. We'll
indigenization
come
and
back to it. But everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share,
yeah.
subscribe. But till next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for her. Peace.
Wonderful.